A year later and it still sucks! So, yeah, there's still a lot of people who are pissed off about that ending. And quite frankly, they have every right to be. Now, as anyone who knows me will tell you, I'm a huge fan of the Mass Effect series, so it really hit me hard when the ending turned out to be such a colossal disappointment. But that's not to say that I hated the game. Hell, up until the last 20 minutes or so, I loved every frickin' second of it and considered it one of the best games I'd ever played. But then the ending came along and fucked everything up. And ever since, I've had a hard time putting the damn thing back into my console. But when I finally did, there were two big things that I noticed about the game. The first is that, well, it's actually a pretty damn good game. The gameplay is still slick and action-packed, the story was great, well, up until the last 20 minutes or so, and the character interaction and cinematic moments are probably the best I've ever seen in a video game. Seriously, find me another game from the past decade that can make a grown man cry over and over again.
Within the science studies range from urban to agrarian, I am the very model of...
But there are a number of things that bugged me about this game. Such as narrative choices, the variety of side missions, and some odd gameplay hiccups that seem to have been overlooked due to the infamy of the ending. And I decided that it was time for someone to take a closer look at these problems, identify just what was wrong with them, and ways that they could have been potentially fixed. So, without further ado, I humbly present to you Fixin Mass Effect 3. Despite the fact that I love the characters and storyline in this game, there were several choices that the writers and developers made that I didn't really agree with. The first and foremost of these was Jake, and I think we can all agree, this guy sucked. Why the writers thought this character would have been a good inclusion to the game, or why BioWare and Funimation made a whole movie about his past, I have no frickin' idea. I mean, this guy was literally the most boring character in the entire Mass Effect universe. And coming from the franchise that gave us Jacob, Alenko, and Ashley, I don't even know how that's possible! I mean, in theory, there should have been something interesting about this guy. And Ashley, for example, she had some interesting baggage concerning her family. Alenko provided some interesting info on biotics. Hell, even Jacob's situation concerning his father had some interesting writing behind it. But everything about Jake just screamed... fail! I mean, we've seen his backstory several times in the Mass Effect universe alone! To get you up to speed, Jacob got his entire squad killed while on a mission to get intel on the collectors, only to find that the data wasn't necessary because Shepard was already dealing with them in Mass Effect 2 and has trouble deciding whether or not to take up the leadership reins again. A few pep talks from Shepard later, and he's over it. And that's his entire backstory and story arc. There really isn't much more to it than that. Foul! For God's sakes, this was one of Shepard's backstory, and it had a more sinister twist behind it. It's how you met Ashley in the first game. Rex had a similar story concerning his father. Hell, Garrus had this exact same setup in Mass Effect 2, and each of these was a dozen times more effective than Jake's backstory. And this guy is so freaking boring on top of it. He has no charisma, a bland personality, and some of the most uninspired dialogue I've ever heard in a Mass Effect game. And fixing it would have been so simple. For starters, get rid of Freddie Prinze Jr. He wasn't a good actor in the 90s, he sure as hell isn't a good actor now. I've seen many roles throughout the years where the part itself was relatively bland and generic, but the actors sold the hell out of it. And I can't help but think that if they had gone for a different voice actor, it might have gone over better. But even still, you would have had that bland, generic backstory, and that might have required a rewrite or two. Maybe have a mission that went directly into his past, similar to the missions in Mass Effect 2. One that really gets under his skin and makes him either move on or destroys him utterly. Another solution would have been just to rewrite his entire backstory and come up with something less generic. Maybe he was a dirty soldier who committed some kind of war crime and it's coming back to haunt him. Maybe he's a former Cerberus operative. Just anything would have been better than what we got. But here's the simplest solution. Get rid of him altogether! Again, I don't know what BioWare was thinking when they wrote this character, or even why they would give him his own movie, especially when you had such a great cast of characters from the second game. If they were so intent on not putting a character developing mission for the new guy, why even include one? Why not bring back Grunt, Rex, Kasumi, or Samara? They were all awesome. Hell, even Jacob's dull ass would have been a better companion than this guy. But if they were so intent on bringing in a new character, why not bring in a Hanar or that one Batarian who had a grudge against Shepard? Maybe a former Blue Suns member with unpredictable mood swings or something. Just someone who might have been interesting to watch and talk to and play with. So yeah, Jake sucked. I don't think anyone's going to be arguing that point. But the one thing worse than creating a new, dull character in a franchise is fucking up a good one. Now that's not to say that the Elusive Man was a bad villain by any means. He was pretty damn menacing, Cerberus proved to be a major threat, and Martin Sheen really sold the hell out of the role.
Orders? Finish her.
Okay, before I get into what's wrong with him, I need to give a little bit of context. In Mass Effect 2, the writers made a brilliant move in having Shepard work with Cerberus, making the organization seem more like a secret society with military backing, legitimate good intents, even if they were a tad racist and draconian in their methods. This is all summed up within the personality and the characteristics of the Elusive Man, a man who we knew couldn't be trusted and put his own agenda before everything else, but at the same time was someone who wanted to stop the Reapers and see humanity put on top of the pyramid. And about midway through Mass Effect 3, they decide to tell us that the Elusive Man is, and may always have been, indoctrinated by Reapers. That's just stupid! I mean, this game just turned him into a straight-up bad guy in every sense of the word, with all the ambiguity of Mass Effect 2 gone. And they made him just another terrorist leader under the control of the Reapers that Shepard had to fight his way through without any real choices in the matter. Throughout the game, he uses Reaper tech to control his people, wants to use Reapers in order to advance humanity, suffocates an entire station full of scientists to get at some information. The list just goes on and on, how they brought this great character down to generic villain standards. So how could this have been fixed? One sentence. Drop the whole damn indoctrination thing. Most of what was done by Cerberus could have been justified given the Elusive Man's reputation and personality, but his ultimate goal and reasoning behind it is just dumb. Instead, why couldn't he have been fighting against the Reapers but was also playing the game in order to secure his position as ruler of the galaxy or something? Hell, many of his actions would have given him such an edge, like holding on to the plans of the Crucible or controlling the cure to the Genophage. Maybe have an option to allow Shepard the chance to join the Elusive Man in his plans or something. At the very least, have him negotiate with the guy as opposed to just shooting all of his men. I mean, they have all these great plot points and potential for a nefarious Game of Thrones, and all it amounts to is that the Elusive Man is indoctrinated and doesn't even know it. So yeah, I honestly don't know what the hell BioWare was thinking on this one since the solution was so damn obvious. Maybe they felt this kind of direction would have been too obvious. Maybe they just didn't have the time or budget to work it in. Maybe they just thought that this route would have been the better twist. I can't say, but I know that the way they went about it was a bad way to send off a great villain. Elusive Man, you deserve better.
I tried, Shepard.
Which actually reminds me, there really wasn't enough variety in the missions and enemies in this game. Kind of depressing. Within the first two games, we had a healthy variety of enemies that consisted of all the races throughout the galaxy. In this game, however, all we got were the Geth, Cerberus, and indoctrinated husks that came after you, and I just can't help but wonder why we couldn't get more enemies here. Now, given that there's a war going on, it makes sense that most of the main story missions would be military-based and have you fighting either the Reapers or Cerberus. And most of these are actually pretty damn good. However, it's within the side missions where the game really dropped the ball, as they all seem to amount to Shepard and company grabbing a few Reaper artifacts to flick Cerberus's nose. And these were both problems that I really started to notice on my second playthrough, but I immediately saw the solutions to both problems. Put it simply, more variety in the side missions. Throughout the game, you frequently have to scan the universe for additional war assets, but aside from running away from a Reaper that has tracked you, they don't really make you work for these. So I have to ask, why not make missions out of these asset gatherings? Why not fight off a raider attempt to take over a ship that you're trying to rescue? Why not have a smaller settlement fall victim to a rogue Turian military group and have Shepard liberate it? It's pretty common knowledge that war profiteering happens in every war, and BioWare has never really been a company to hide from the harsher realities that war brings. Hell, even in this game, you frequently see people holed up in makeshift shelters, mothers asking for letters from their dead children, kids waiting for their parents who are more than likely dead, and listening to a guard talk to them, unable to tell them what's probably the truth. But they could have easily taken this a step further with the side missions. Get more of the races trying to grab what they can before someone else beats them to it, and not just throwing everything on Cerberus or the Reapers. Maybe this is because Drew Karpyshyn left. I mean, he left midway through Mass Effect 2, and let's be honest, the storyline in that game wasn't exactly top-notch. At least the main storyline, anyway. It was just kind of average. Yeah. Wonder how this game might have gone if he had still been writing for it. Oh, shit. Well, I think we all know what's coming next. The most infamous part of the game. The ending. How the hell am I gonna try and fix that? Okay, people. It's been a year since the game came out and shook the very foundations of the gaming community. Everyone knows what an abomination it was. It's been talked about to death. It damn near obliterated BioWare's reputation, and everything that could be said about it has already been said, and I seriously doubt that I can add anything substantial to this argument. But dear God, did that ending suck! I mean, 3 choices? 3 choices after all the people you killed, all the decisions you made, all the choices you made, and after everything BioWare promised, 120 plus hours of gameplay, and all it comes down to is red, green, and blue? How dare you, BioWare? How dare you? So how would I fix it? Well, it really just comes down to adding more choices and events based on the number of troops you had, or maybe your Paragon Renegade status. For example, if the number of troops you had was too low, why not have Shepard never even make it to the Citadel? Why not have him and everyone die horribly because you didn't get enough men for the final push? How about if you get enough men, you're able to defeat the Reapers in a conventional military manner? Why not have the Crucible's functions change depending on your Paragon Renegade meter? The possibilities are literally endless because, well, we were promised an infinite number of endings. And as I said, this has been talked about to death, so there really isn't much more for me to add on the subject. What exactly went wrong with the ending is still unclear. There's a lot of speculation, various rumors that supposedly came from BioWare's staff, but nothing that's been confirmed or gone beyond speculation. However, I think we can all agree it's a blow that the company hasn't quite recovered from, and we can only hope that whatever they come out with next is more reminiscent of the old BioWare that gave us the first Mass Effect and Knights of the Old Republic, and once again becomes the great storytelling company that made us all fall in love with their games in the first place. And that's how I fix Mass Effect 3! Now let me make this clear. I don't hate this game as a whole, but there are many things within it that I disliked or disagreed with. And in some cases, flat out hated. I still stand by the belief that the game as a whole was pretty damn good, but the bad things really do stick out like a sore thumb. Jake was a character who either needed an entire rewrite or replacement, and the Elusive Man, well... Why? Just why? The side missions could have used a lot more innovation, and the ending... You guys all know the drill by now. There really isn't anything we can do about this now, but hopefully someday another developer team will see what this game did wrong, learn from it, and avoid making the same mistakes. And that's it for fixing Mass Effect 3. I hope you all enjoyed this video and maybe took something away from it, and if you feel as if you have anything more to add to these arguments, please feel free to leave a comment below and just tell me what exactly it is you feel that could have been done better or how it could have been done better. So until next time, this is Griff the Ghost, fixing games and films wherever I go.